The rain wasn't just falling, it was weeping. Sheets of cold silver fell from a dark, bruised sky as Harper drove down that quiet country road, unaware that destiny was about to tap her shoulder through the storm. The windshield wipers moved, back and forth like a tired heartbeat, but they couldn't clear the sorrow that was waiting just ahead. And then, through the haze and the blur of headlights, something moved, small, shivering, wild. Her foot slammed the brake before her. Mine caught up. She didn't hesitate. Not for the thunder cracking above her, not for the cars screaming past, and certainly not for her own safety. She ran into the storm with nothing but instinct and heart, chasing a shadow on the edge of life. There, trembling beside the wet gravel shoulder, was a creature so tiny it looked like it had fallen from the stars and landed wrong. Harper reached down, hands soaked, heart thundering. And when she cradled that soaked, half-conscious life in her palm, something in her broke wide open. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. The moment she looked at the little being in her hand, it no longer felt like just a rescue. It felt like a promise. A sacred vow sealed by thunder and rain. Harper rushed back to her car, shielding the kitten with her jacket, her breath shallow from the rush. The creature, barely more than a breath of life, mewed faintly, a sound so fragile it could have shattered if the rain was any louder. She sat in the driver's seat, water dripping from her hair, and opened her hand. There it was, a striped miracle. Gray-brown fur, soaked but thick. A tiny tabby, barely 2 weeks old, eyes half shut, still trembling from cold and fear. "What were you doing out there, little one?" she whispered, brushing her finger gently along its damp head. The kitten looked like it had been carved from forest mist, mysterious, fragile, and forgotten. Harper turned to check if a mother was near. She hoped, she prayed. But then the road showed her truth, and it was cruel. The body of a larger cat lay lifeless near the woods, struck, abandoned, gone. Harper clutched the kitten closer, her throat tightening as her eyes welled up. "Even the sparrow has found a home, a place near your altar." Now that place was her hands. Now that altar was her heart. The drive home was a blur, urgency wrapped in worry. It was late, too late for any vet to be open. But this wasn't just about medical charts and exam rooms. This was survival. Harper bundled the kitten in a soft towel, lighting up her living room with a warm lamp as thunder still rumbled far away. Her other cat, Luna, approached with curiosity, then hissed. The room felt split between what was and what could be. Harper whispered softly to Luna, calming her, placing her in the other room for now. She mixed kitten food with a touch of warm milk and offered it gently. The kitten ate with a hunger that made Harper cry again, as if it had forgotten what it meant to be full or loved. As she dried its coat and examined the vivid stripes in better light, she could see it. The markings weren't ordinary. They looked like ancient symbols, like the forest had written stories on this kitten's back. And tonight, a new chapter had begun. He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. And Harper was learning, healing wasn't just something you gave, it was something that came back to you when you least expected. Night wrapped around the house. But Harper didn't sleep. She watched the kitten, rising and falling with every tiny breath. She didn't know its name. She didn't know its future. But she knew its life mattered. The world might have forgotten it on that road, but Harper would not. Morning came too. Quietly, the soft hum of early sunlight pierced the curtains as Harper blinked awake on the couch. Her eyes darted to the box. Empty, her chest squeezed with panic. She lifted the towel, checked under it, checked behind the couch, called out. Softly, silence, then a sound. A soft purr, but louder than it should have been. Harper followed it and found Luna curled in one of her favorite beds, and beside her, impossibly nestled in her fur, was the kitten. Safe, sleeping, accepted. Luna was grooming it with slow, loving licks, the same cat who had hissed just hours ago. Harper stood frozen. Her throat caught. Her cat, who never accepted strangers, had chosen to mother this orphan. It was a moment of grace too deep for words. And the lion shall lie down with the lamb. Maybe not a lion today, but a protector all the same, but joy quickly turned to fear. The kitten hadn't been to the vet. It could carry illness, something fatal. Harper gently picked it up, Luna meowing in protest. She placed the kitten back in the box and prepared herself. No breakfast. No delay, she had to get help. Fast. Outside, the rain had returned with vengeance, as if testing her again. Traffic was heavy, slow, like fate pressing down on her shoulders. Harper gripped the steering wheel, watching water blur the road ahead. In the back seat, the box shifted gently with each breath the kitten took. And each breath felt like a countdown. Harper's thoughts spiraled. What if it was too late? What if the storm had already taken too much? The kitten's tiny life seemed to flicker like a candle. She gritted her teeth. She'd saved it once. She'd do it again. For I know the plans I have for you. Plans to give you a future and a hope. This wasn't just a drive. This was a mission. Finally, the clinic's glowing sign emerged through the fog of rain. Harper parked, grabbed the box, and ran inside, shoes splashing through puddles. The waiting room was full, buzzing with anxious energy. Dogs barked, cats hissed, humans paced. Harper stood in line, the box cradled like something holy. Inside, the kitten stirred. Its eyes slowly opened. It looked up at Harper with a softness she couldn't explain. She touched the towel around it, adjusting it, whispering, "We're almost there, little one." "Hold on!" Behind her someone coughed. Ahead a child cried. But Harper was in her own world. One where miracles looked like tabby fur and fit in the palm of your hand. And somewhere in that storm-lit morning, as the vet finally called her name, Harper stepped forward with something more than a kitten. She stepped forward with faith in second chances, in unexpected family, in love that answers the wild's call. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. The clinic walls were white, but to Harper they felt gray, heavy, with worry, tinged with the anxiety of every pet owner clutching a leash or a carrier. Around her, soft voices murmured comforting words to trembling dogs and wide-eyed cats. The rain outside still tapped like anxious fingers against the windows. And inside her box, the kitten stirred slightly, a fragile bundle of fluff wrapped in uncertainty. Harper leaned in and whispered something gentle, though her words trembled beneath the weight of the unknown. Every second felt like a slow drip from a broken clock. She needed distraction, and that's when she noticed her. An elderly woman with a scarf patterned like falling leaves, sitting just a few chairs away, offered Harper a warm smile, the kind that feels like sunshine after weeks of winter. Drawn by something deeper than politeness, Harper asked a simple question. In return, she received a flood of stories, each one a memory carved out of hope, heartbreak, and healing. The woman had rescued animals for decades, her voice steady and rich with wisdom. "Every rescue is worth it, dear," she said softly, placing a weathered hand on Harper's. "They teach us more about love than we ever teach them." The sentence sank into Harper like rain into thirsty earth. Whoever is kind to the needy honors God. She didn't know it yet, but those words would become her compass. Her reason, finally, a voice called her name. Harper stood up, clutching the box like it held the breath of life, because in many ways it did. The examination room smelled sterile, but it was the silence that chilled her. The vet, a tall, calm man in his 40s, greeted her with professionalism and care. He began examining the kitten, eyes, ears, heartbeat. His fingers moved with practiced rhythm. Harper's heart lifted slightly with each nod of approval, until suddenly he paused, his hand stilled over the kitten's ribs, his brow furrowed. That tiny gesture, so slight, sent Harper's pulse into overdrive. Something was wrong. The vet didn't speak immediately. He simply looked again, closer this time. His cheerful tone turned quiet. His demeanor, once casual, shifted into something more surgical. He began ordering further tests, blood work, imaging, specialized scans. Harper watched, unable to blink. What could be wrong with such a tiny thing? The kitten looked up at her with its cloudy eyes, unaware of the storm it had just stirred. In the hearts of humans. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. But how do you cast your fears away when they cling like fog? Minutes turned to eternities. Each beep of a machine was a drumbeat of dread. Harper asked questions, desperate for clarity, but the vet's answers were vague and cautious. "Let's not jump to conclusions yet," he'd say. But his eyes, they were already carrying the weight of something serious. Around her, the air thickened. Every whisper of wind outside felt like a warning. Every second stretched thinner than the last. And then, just as the silence began to crack beneath the pressure, the elderly woman appeared beside her once more. She didn't ask what was wrong. She simply offered a card, her name, and a gentle promise. "Call me any time, whether for advice or just to talk." It was a lifeline, a human thread in the storm Harper couldn't explain. The woman's kindness anchored her when her world felt like it might collapse. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Then came the moment. The vet returned, eyes grave, voice steady. "There's something unusual about this kitten," he began. Harper's grip on the box tightened. He continued, each word falling heavier than the last. "She's not a domestic kitten. She belongs to a rare, possibly endangered species." Harper blinked. "What do you mean?" she asked, barely above a whisper. The vet's expression was that of a man delivering difficult truth. "This may be a Scottish wildcat." The world tilted. The white room faded into background noise. Harper couldn't breathe. Scottish wildcats, native to the Highlands, elusive, nearly extinct. "But how?" she asked, her voice cracking. "This is America." The vet nodded, his jaw tight. "She may have been illegally imported or born through an unauthorized breeding program. Either way, we need to act carefully. There's a black market for rare wild cats. They're more endangered than even pandas. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." Harper had seen a kitten, but now she was staring at a symbol of survival, a species, clinging to existence through storms like the one outside. It hit her like thunder. She couldn't keep the kitten. Her heart shattered in slow motion. She had saved a life, only to learn it wasn't hers. To love freely. The kitten wasn't just an orphan, she was a legacy, a fragment of a vanishing lineage. Harper's fingers trembled as she asked, "So what happens now?" The vet's voice softened. "She needs to be transferred to a conservation facility. One that's equipped to protect and care for her. This isn't just a pet anymore, it's part of something bigger." Harper nodded slowly, even as her chest felt like it might collapse inwards. "To everything there is a season, a time to keep and a time to let go." At home, Harper watched the kitten sleep, curled in the same towel she'd wrapped her in that rainy night. It didn't feel fair. Her home had felt warmer, her heart fuller with this creature in it. But now she was faced with a different kind of love, the kind that sacrifices, the kind that lets go. She dove into research, reaching out to conservationists and legal experts. She buried herself in laws, articles, documentaries. Every night was filled with reading and tears. She learned the brutal truths of illegal wildlife trade. She learned how fragile populations like the Scottish wildcat truly were. And she learned something else too, that she had a role to play, not as a keeper, but as a protector. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. And Harper did. The hardest part wasn't the paperwork. It wasn't the interviews or the transport arrangements. It was walking into the final day knowing she would say goodbye. She stood beside the conservation team's van, clutching the towel-wrapped kitten for one last time. "I know this is what's best for you, little one," she whispered, her tears soaking the fur just above the kitten's eyes. She didn't expect a purr. She didn't get one. Just a soft stare, a quiet understanding. The van door closed. And the part of Harper that had found purpose in saving the kitten cracked. Wide open, not from pain, but from growth. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Back at home, Luna meowed at the door, sensing something missing. Harper had promised her a friend, and so she fulfilled that promise in a different way. From the local shelter, she adopted a playful, scruffy tabby with wide eyes and a loud purr. As she placed the new kitten on the living room floor, Luna cautiously approached. A sniff, a pause, then a gentle headbutt. Harper smiled through tears. "Look, Luna," she whispered, "I brought you a friend after all." The rain outside had stopped. Inside, love flowed freely, not because she'd kept something wild, but because she'd chosen to honor it. And in that quiet, sacred moment, Harper knew the truth. Some rescues aren't meant to stay. Some are meant to teach us how to let go. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Harper stood by the window that evening, the golden light of sunset pouring across the floor where Luna played with her new kitten friend. The soft rustle of paws, the quiet joy of simple moments, they all reminded her of how far she had come. It had begun with one small life in peril. A helpless cry on a rainy night? But what she thought was a rescue turned out to be a revelation, a mirror reflecting her own growth, sacrifice, and humanity. Harper's journey wasn't just about saving a kitten. It was about stepping into something sacred, learning the weight of love that lets go, and the power of compassion that echoes far beyond our own homes. In the quiet corners of her heart, she knew she had answered the call of the wild. And in doing so, she had found a deeper version of herself. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made. Did this story touch your heart? If you were in Harper's place, if you saved a tiny life only to find out it belonged to the wild, would you be able to let go for the greater good? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this emotional true story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in the bond between humans and animals. Remember, real love sometimes means letting go. Thank you for listening. See you in the next wild chapter. Take care.